Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Shakira. Today's video is something that I wanted to do for a while, but I was waiting for one book to come in the mail, because today we're going to do a book haul. It's a huge book haul that I did for myself in pursuant to my birthday. That was on the 4th of September, a few months ago. I know it's been so long, but the last book finally came in the mail, so we can do it now. So before I started, please know that these a bunch of books I bought in the span of, I think, 4 months: August, September, October, November. Yeah, I think around in the span of 4 months. So it's not like I spent one huge amount of money in one go. So if you're interested to see what I got for my birthday during this book haul, please stay tuned. So for this book haul, we have few genres that I've bought. We have a lot of classics, and then we have some young adult slash fictions. We have, I think, few autobiographies, as well as some general fiction or personal development or self-help books. So we're covering a whole lot of genres today. So I think I'm going to cover the best genre that I have over here first. That is classics. I bought a lot and lots of classics this time around, because ever since I got out of my reading slump a few months ago, I tried to get into young adult as I usually do, but then I don't really like it. I don't appreciate the literature, the story as much as I did before. I mean, like, I haven't read for the past 2 years, so I think I kind of grew up in a bit. I don't know. But then I was thinking, how else am I going to, appreciate the literature other than the fact that, just go back to the classics. So the first book that I got, and I got it thrifted, plus point. It is The Little Women by Louisa Alcott. It's such a good way to get into classics using children classics first, because classics are intimidating. So in this story, we're following 4 sisters staying at home with their mommy, while their father was off to the war, and them meeting another boy in the neighborhood, and we're following their just daily lives, waiting for their father to come home. It's really, really cozy to read, and I really, really love it. And then I discovered that there are actually 2 volumes in the whole, not universe, but basically Little Women. This is the first volume that was written by Louisa Alcott. And then this is the book that I already have in my shelf since I was 16. It was gifted to me, but this is The Good Wife. It's by also Louisa Alcott. And basically, this book was the continuation of The Little Women. After I finished reading this, which I already have, so this is Little Women, I tried to read this one in this volume. This is Peter Haddock Publishing edition. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. This is a Alma Junior Classics edition. So when I tried to read from this volume, it is impossible. It is impossible for me to read from this volume, because not only that the font is really hard to read, the printing has been melted into the paper and has been mixed up from one page to another page. So it is just an impossible task. But I'm not going to dispose this away because this is a gift. But I'm definitely not going to read from this volume. So in honor of my birthday, I have begged my husband to buy me a beautiful edition of The Little Women. And this is it! Oh my god, look at that. This is, I think, the most beautiful book edition that I have ever possessed in my entire life, and this is the Puffin Classics edition of Little Women. This one comprises of The Little Women and also A Good Wife in one book, in one bound of book. So this is the one that I got, and I got it from Book Depository. So we're going to move it. Let's put it down here. I want to appreciate literature more. So this is The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. Kahlil Gibran was a Lebanese-born poet slash author. In this The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran, we're following a man who called himself a prophet, so-called. And when he was about to leave, the people in the village came to him and asked for the last wisdom, the last advice from him. So in this book, we're basically following a lot of advice and wisdom given by him towards all of the people asking him. So we have on love, on marriage, on children, on eating and drinking, on work, so on and so forth. And all of the tabs that I have flagged this book with are those wisdoms that I feel like so relatable and so beneficial. It's really cheap as well. I got this from Book Depository, I think only around 20 ringgit if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. The next one, again, as I said, we are filled with children classics because that's the way for me, I think, to get into classics more, because you're like starting from this children middle grade-ish level of classics, so you won't feel so intimidated by it. And this one is and Montgomery of Anne of Green Gables. I think Anne of Green Gables have the whole lot of series concerning her, but this is the main work of Anne of Green Gables, and this is the edition made by Legend Press. This is very, very cheap. I got this from Book Access. I think I only got this for 13 ringgit. So this is Anne of Green Gables, in which in the story we're following Anne, who has been adopted by a family, a farmer who initially wanted to adopt a boy to help them in the farm itself, but instead they were blessed with Anne, a girl instead. So we're following her story in the farm. So the next book is one of the mystery slash thriller slash detective-y kind of book. I never heard of this book before, even though I've heard of this author. She wrote The Murder on the Orient Express, if I'm not mistaken, and that is Agatha Christie, and this one is They Came to Baghdad. I got this book also very, very cheap. I went to Aeon to buy my groceries, and there were a lot of books there in the middle of the mall, and it was, I think, rejected yellowish books, so it's not in its best condition, but it's still cheap, it's still readable, it's still new. So I just had to take one of them home. So this is They Came to Baghdad, where we're following a woman named Victoria Jones, whereby she has found a wounded spy dying or died in her hotel room, and that's about it. That's about it that I know of. But I think we're following the mystery of the death of that spy and how she unraveled the mystery of the murder of the spy. But yes, this is They Came to Baghdad. I think I got this only for 13 ringgit, so it's a steal. The next one, I know that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I just can't help it. I mean, if you have given this edition of classics, this is the Arcturus Classics edition of kind of philosophy works by famous authors throughout the world. We have The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, and then the Analects by Confucius, and also The Social Contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Actually, this book, I mean, his work, we have visited his work when we did jurisprudence back in law school. For the Analects, I just came to know that Confucius was actually a Chinese name, Kung Chu Ni or Kung Chu, and basically his name had been Latinized or Westernized by the people. But this is basically the Analects by Confucius. His philosophy, his teachings by himself, and also the things that been told by his disciples, learning from him. So this is the Analects. And also the next one is The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, talking about his wisdom and thoughts on the politics, on the military strategy, and also history of early 16th century in Italy. I got this from Book Access only for I think 18 ringgit each. The next one, I think this is one of my best friend's favorite book, but sadly I haven't got to it. I've watched the movie few years ago, I don't remember, but this is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and again I got this thrifted. I only got this for 20 ringgit, I believe, and this one is the vintage red binding edition of the classics. So in this book we're following a woman named Elizabeth Bennet. We're following her story meeting a man named Mr. Darcy, and that's all I remember from the movie that I've watched. I really can't recall myself, which is a good thing because then I would get to enjoy this book as it is. Yeah, that is Pride and Prejudice. And the next one I've already read and loved, but I think I'm going to reserve all of my reviews for all of the books that I've read. But this is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitgerald. This is one of the editions that oh my god, what happened here? So this is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is the one in Penguin English Library edition, and it's really pretty. In this story, we're following a man named J. Gatsby from the point of view of his neighbor Nick. And J. Gatsby have always been throwing parties after parties, and apparently those parties are only for one apparent reason. So I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but we're following their friendship and the whole parties that has been thrown by J. Gatsby. So yeah, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The next one is the one that I'm currently reading, and I bought this in Book Access. I think I bought this for 18 ringgit. This is Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. This is not the edition that I wanted, but I really want to read this one because I've heard so many people raved about this book, and I can't believe that I haven't read anything from Oscar Wilde all this while. We're following a guy named Dorian Gray. He's really beautiful, he's really handsome, and his friend has fortunately painted him in a portrait whereby later he feels like it's very unfair that the portrait gets to preserve his youth, his beauty, and his handsomeness, while he has to grow old and frail and weak sooner or later. I'm not even halfway through it yet, but I'm not sure where would this book end up at. I've never heard of the ending before, which I'm glad, because then I would get to enjoy this book as it is. So yeah, this one is also a Penguin Classics edition, but it's not the Penguin English Library Classics edition. This is just Penguin published this, but again, I think I love Penguin edition the most because of the font and the text are making it's so easy to read. That is The Picture of Dorian Gray. The next one, I don't think this would classify as a classic per se, because this is published in 1980s if I'm not mistaken, but it would definitely be considered as one of the modern classics kind of. It's The Midnight Children by Salman Rushdie. This is the vintage edition, the red spine edition of classics, and I got this thrifted. I mean, you can tell from the cover itself. I got this thrifted from one of the, it's not a book fest, it's just a random hawker selling books at one of the office that I visited. So they sell a lot of other books, but this is one of the books that I wanted. But basically we're following a group of children who have born in the stroke of midnight during the India's Independence Day. And not only that, I think it has some sort of magical realism elements, because apparently their personal lives have been mirroring all of the things, all of the situations happening in India, and it gets mirrored in their personal life of all of these children. I think it's going to be a very interesting read, but it's huge. It has more than 600 pages. I don't think I'm going to get to this year because I'm chasing to finish up my challenge, so I'm not going to tackle big beastie book this year. If you missed my previous video on the book that I've read in July, I think it's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It makes me want to delve more and more into self-help books. This was recommended, and that is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Instead of going to the workforce after he graduated, I think he decided to become a monk, but later left because of his health condition. I think in this book he teaches a lot of mindfulness, breathing, and meditation techniques that you can adopt in your daily life for you to have a more meaningful kind of life instead. So that is Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk. Next self-help book that I got is something along the financial kind of self-help, personal development area, and that is the classics Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I think this book was made and published in 1920s, which explained the sexism that it has, which I do really appreciate, but I would understand for the fact that it has been released during that time when women feminism was not that highlighted as much. So this is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, whereby he talks about how you're going to aim to make money, to make more profit, and to be successful basically with money and your financial journey. But I bought this on Shopee. I definitely have asked the seller whether this is the original copy. He said that this has just been republished by a Malaysian company, but I definitely believe that this is not an original copy because there are a lot of grammatical as well as typographical and formatting errors in this. So I don't think I'm going to buy anything from that seller anymore. But yeah, that's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We're just going to get all of the self-help personal development books out of the way so that we can move on to the next genre. But this is the Everything is Figureoutable by Mary Forleo. I saw one of the Instagram influencer recommended this book and saying that it is really, really good for anything that you are dealing with currently in your life, whether you are stuck in a bad job or stuck in a bad relationship. Everything is figureoutable. So I haven't read this one yet. I think I want to get to this year, before end of this year. So this one I got also first hand from Book Depository. So it's big expensive compared to all of the other books that I have thrifted. That's Everything is Figureoutable. The next one is a book that I've heard a lot of personal finance on YouTube, on Instagram has talked about, and that is The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferris. I think he's going to put out ideas on how you can actually manage and enjoy your life more, if not a good chunk of your life have been dedicated to work per se. I haven't read this one, but I've gotten this thrifted from it left the note here from the Spines bookstore on Instagram. I will link the Instagram page down below. They are selling a lot of thrifted, new, and also pre-loved books at a very, very low price. The next one, it's such a shame because this is the only Islamic religion related book that I have and bought in this haul, but all's well because this is The Secrets of Divine Love, a spiritual journey into the heart of Islam. I also have gifted one of these to my best friend for her birthday, so I think we're going to read it together later. I think I can't wait to read this one because it will be such a beneficial and hearty read among all other books that I have here. So yeah, this is Secrets of Divine Love. The next two books are parenting books, and I'm just going to put it out here because not everyone here have child who's screaming and throwing tantrum all the time, but these are the two parenting books that I got during this haul, and I've read this one, The Whole Brain Child by Daniel J. Sigel and Tina Payne Bryson. I've read and finished up this one, and I'm currently reading this one. This is the Gentle Discipline book by Sarah Ockwell Smith. I bought this one in Book Access, so it's really cheap. I think I got this only for 20 ringgit. I bought this in Book Depository, so I think it cost me around 40 ringgit for this book. This is the one that I've heard a lot of people talk about. And I also want to read on it. This one is history or general fiction from the same author. This one is from Yuval Noah Harari. This one is Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, and this one is A Brief History of Humankind. After buying this book and reading the first page of it, I just realized that Yuval Noah Harari is an Israeli lecturer in Hebrew University in Jerusalem. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about that after knowing that and then not having to read this yet. I'm afraid that I would be skeptical against him, but I think knowledge is still knowledge, and I would definitely read this because I've bought it anyway. So I'm going to read this and let you know my thought later. This is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. When I bought this book, I thought it's going to be a fictional read for me, but instead, it's not. It's a memoir / autobiography by this author. He's Dr. Paul Kalanithi. He was a neurosurgeon, finishing his training in neurosurgery, and at the same time diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. When his condition is getting worse, so we're following his thoughts upon it. It's about it. I don't think I'm going to tell you more about this book, When Breath Becomes Air by Dr. Paul Kalanithi. Are you even a Malaysian lawyer if you haven't read this? And that is Tommy Thomas, My Story, Justice in the Wilderness. I've watched tons of my friends in my circle talking about this book, reading about this book, so I feel like I've been left out in a way, and I want to jump in the bandwagon. So I got this book. This is one of the most expensive books as well that I got in the whole haul. If you don't know him, Tommy Thomas was a former Attorney General of Malaysia, and he was the one entrusted to prosecute our former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak for 1MDB scandal. So we're following his stories, the background, and becoming the public prosecutor to prosecute Najib Razak in the scandal itself. We're getting to our last pile, but I think I'm losing my voice. And this is a lie. I don't even think about it when I bought it, so never mind. We're almost there. This is the last pile that we have. I'm just going to put it out here. This is the last pile that I have. This is the pile of young adult / fiction read that I have. Before I get into classics, this is the thing that I enjoyed the most. First one, this is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenencher. I think I've heard about this book when I went into Facebook book recommendation group kind of, and a lot of people recommended that this book is their best book of all time. So I want to know what is the appeal, what is the whole hype about this book. And if you have watched the movie, then you know it's that movie. This book, The Time Traveler's Wife, is Claire, and the time traveler himself is Henry. So we're following their relationship, Henry and Claire, when Henry has went back into time and met Claire when she was 6 years old before they even got married, and they developed a friendship there, like Henry, a 30 or 40 something year old man with Claire, 6-year-old. That sounds so wrong, because I think that's wrong. So it's not the usual time traveling kind of prose, because he cannot really control where he go, when would he go, and also whenever he's traveling, he cannot bring anything from the present life to the next life other than his body. So he would always travel naked, like he would appear out of nowhere in the middle of nowhere at any time naked. I'm just going to reserve my thoughts on it. But I finished this book in the span of 3 days, despite it being so huge. But I really wanted to know what happened to them. And I got this only for 20 ringgit in Carousel. So yeah, that's it. this book. One of my favorite YouTuber, her name is Emma from the channel Emmy. I'm going to link her channel down below. And this is one of the things that she has recommended. This is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, whereby actually I don't even know what this book is all about, and I think I'm going to keep it that way. But she speaks highly of this book and say that the writing is really, really beautiful. And because I'm in the hunt for beautiful writing, so I think this would be a very good choice for me. So I also got this thrifted from Carousel. I think I got this only for 25 ringgit, kind of around that. But the book is still in good condition when I got it, and it's barely touched. I don't think the previous owner even have read it. But yeah, that is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. I have to be more careful when picking up the recommendations from people next time. But this time the damage done, so we're just gonna go through it. But this is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I have finished this book a few days ago. This is one of the books that has been recommended in my book depository front page, kind of. This book is, I think, was trending on TikTok, so it is considered as a book talk, and also it has very high rating on Goodreads. The Goodreads rating already disappointed, but apparently this has disappointed me. I'm going to reserve my judgment on this book, but in this book we're following a woman named Nora Sid, whereby his life have turned upside down, and Nora Sid has very much decided to end her own life. But at the same time, she found herself being transported into a library, the Midnight Library, whereby it has a huge volumes of books that she can choose from, where each book contains the possible life that she could have lived. I bought it in book depository for 40 ringgit, I believe, and I'm selling it now, so bye bye. The next one, this is All the Lights That We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. So in this book, we're following a girl named Mary, whereby she has become blind ever since the age of 6, and she lived in Paris. And then we are following, I think, her story when the Nazi occupation has taken place. This is one of the historical fiction, so I think I'm going to love this book. I bought this book thrifted in Carousel. The next book, I bought this from Book Depository, so it's a bit of money. It's 40 ringgit, I believe. This is Christine Hanna, The Nightingale, and also a historical fiction. We're following two sisters, Vienne and Isabelle, whereby one lives in Paris and another lives in a French countryside, whereby suddenly a war broke out. So we're following their stories in the middle of the war. I doubt that Emma would watch my video, but I've trusted her recommendations before, and she has recommended and speak highly of this. This is Kazuo Ishiguro, When We Were Orphans, and I'm a bit disappointed by the fact that I didn't enjoy this book as much as I thought I'm going to be, as much as she did. In this book, we're following currently a detective named Christopher Bang. In the year of 1930s, his parents have disappeared in Shanghai, China, when he was a child. So basically, him and both parents lived in China when he was a child, and then two unfortunate incidents have made him lost both of his parents. The next one is Such a Beauty, and it is Wild Beauty by Anna Mary McLemore. In this book, we're following a group of women, I think, living and working on a garden, whereby in that, for the group of women, they are not able to fall in love too deeply, or else if they do, then the man that they love would vanish. But then suddenly they found a boy named Fel who does not remember anything. That's The Wild Beauty by Anne Mary McLemore. The next book is also a historical fiction that I bought because so many people raved about it, and that is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I haven't read this, but I think I'm going to do it soon. But in this book, we're following in 1942, whereby a boy named Leil Sokolov arrived in Auschwitz, where his duty or his work is to tattoo all of the prisoners marked during the Holocaust. So he has fallen in love with one of the girls, lining up to get tattooed at that point of time, and that girl was so scared, I think, at that moment. So we're following, I think, their love story and how heartbreaking it's going to be for them. So yeah, that's the Tattooist of Auschwitz. This is the last one. I can't believe that we are here. This is So Monkey, the Book of Longings. In this book, we're following Anna, who was born during the time when women are seen only as possessions, leaving their parents' house only to marry. So basically, Anna has been set, I think, to marry a man, but then she fell in love with another man. So I'm not sure. I don't know much about the story, but that's about it in the synopsis. And so yeah, that's a So Monkey, the Book of Longings, and I think I got this also in book depository. That's the end of my book haul. Let me know if you like it, because I kind of have started to collect more and more books during this time, and let me know if you like listening or hearing about books on this channel. And so that's it. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.